usually just make it up anyway, don't you?
Oh, yeah, no, these are not my questions. Do you have any update on Jalen's status right now?
No. Still saying he's out watching practice today, so I don't have anything on it now.
Is it fair to, because he made the trip to Stillwater, but doesn't make the trip to Ames, like, is it fair to read into that things are going in the wrong direction, or I just, what's the reason that he made that drive and not this one?
Well, because I think I've said is there's good days and there's not good days, okay? And last week wasn't a great week, so you know. But you left in between there though that he went through warm-ups and dressed for Oklahoma, so it's just kind of where it's at, I guess. And I don't read anything more into the good days, bad days, and today he's in my office at 6:30 in the morning, first guy in there, so it was for a meeting. So I kind of feel that there's days I feel really good, and there's days I'm disappointed like he is. So that's probably the best way to leave it.
You had Owen do the rest of the kicking after Seth missed early. Just how do you plan to approach the kicking game this week?
Yeah, that's a good question. We're going to continue to use both. I think Owen has earned some opportunities. I think there's things obviously with distance and leg strength on longer kicks. So we'll continue to look through that through the week to decide who'll handle extra points and will we do a short and long field goal situation. So I can see us using both.
How do you prepare your holders and long snappers well for that kind of week? You know, because they're different.
Well, it's more the holder that's got the issue. The long snapper's got to do the same. It's got to get to the same spot, okay? But the guy who's really done a nice job is Graydon Addison, because he's holding for both guys and to switch. And I think some of the times it's probably more on myself than definitely Graydon. Is that when we've had a miscue there, is asking them to maybe switch it up mid-game, but. Now we're getting a lot of work, and confident that with our special team staff that as the ball's moving closer towards midfield that Luke Osford and Graydon are getting snaps on both sides as the kickers are kicking to the net.
With Seth, has anything changed with him? It seemed like early in the season he was pretty accurate, and it's kind of slipped down.
Yeah, I don't know, kicking can be like our golf game, right? Those of you that have one, I don't. You're hitting a few really well, and all of a sudden, it's or in baseball, you can be hot and be on a streak, and then all of a sudden, you can't put the ball in play. I don't want to say he's at that point, but he's battled a couple things. Health-wise, nothing major, but there's times we've had to reduce his work and do some things, and sometimes you compensate, but he's a very mature young man, and I know he continues to work hard, and though we're all disappointed, we want to make sure we can clean that up. But you're right, because we talked about how much improvement we've made there, and now all of a sudden we've kind of hit a little bit of a rut. So.
Didn't see Tommy or Trevor there, and I don't think Devin played too much.
They were not on the trip.
Their status for this week?
It's still pretty good. I would, both progressing. I don't know if you had to ask me at this point. I don't know if they'll be available.
Okay. And for you guys at home, I think it's 9-2 since the start of last season. What's allowed you guys to be so consistent? I think at home.
Well, our crowd, I think the environment, routine, but definitely our crowd has made a big impact. Hopefully again we can fill the place enough to make it an environment. We know what that's done for us here in some of those games. You can feel it when you go on the road to some of those other places, what you're battling, and I think that was one of the things about Saturday's game. When they reviewed that the first third down and forced them into punting, and then for us to go down and score, I think we never really let that crowd get into the game the first half. And I think our crowd can do the same thing. I would like to say that our guys have continued to build a routine and confidence in playing, but it's always easier to go into your own home environment than on the road.
when you guys didn't have Devin Phillips or Tommy Dunn, but the defensive
Yeah.
line, guys stepped up. What'd you see from them?
Yeah, I mean, being down those two guys, you know, was a lot. And, you know, again, probably the guy that really, I mean, DJ Withers continues to play well and gain confidence, plays faster, all those things as he continues to develop. But Caleb Taylor was probably the one. Gage Keys played his most football as a Jayhawk, probably his most football in one game, maybe in his college career. I thought he did well, even though he had the penalty, you know, which is close. But yeah, Caleb Taylor and Keenan Caldwell got the reps as well. You know, we usually are close to rotating 6 and really only rotated 4. Now, both teams' pace of play, things like that really helped us in a game like that. Both teams under 60 snaps.
What are your initial thoughts on Texas Tech?
Again, that's a team that many picked to be a dark horse title contender, and so it's a very talented football team. They didn't get off the start they wanted, lost some close games, had some injuries. They're starting to get healthy in a lot of spots. You know, we're down 2 quarterbacks at one time. You know, one's back. You know, and you could see them. You know, they got extra days prep and rest for this game. They're coming in with something to play. To make sure they're, you know, working towards bowl eligibility, a lot of things. Joy McGuire does a great job there. He's put an attitude and energy into that program, and you know, they probably always think about them spreading out, throwing the ball and stuff, but they're running the ball so well. You know, I think now we'll hit all of the rushers in this conference here in a short period of time. Good football team, great length at the end positions defensively. I think they've got, you know, overall very physical defense that continues to come through. But again, their injuries and have probably stumped some of stumped some of the growth that they wanted to have this year. But I know they're playing stronger on this back half.
Do you see the same sort of, you know, added comfort with the new coaching staff just having more time with that program, like you see maybe with Oklahoma and others?
Say that again, please. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And do you see the same sort of comfort in like year 2 with that coaching staff as you've seen with other programs?
Yeah, I mean, I you know, I know obviously Emmett Jones is with us, left that staff. I'm not sure what other turnover he's had, but yeah, anytime you can have another year of routine and players and system and all that, it's always you're able to move more fluidly in your day-to-day operation. Players know what to expect, all those things. So yeah, I would not be there. You know, it's one of those schools we didn't really cross over a lot early with film on certain games. So really a lot of our, at least what I've been watching is first time through here yet. You know, not through it all yet.
I don't think we asked you about Mello. Any update on Mello?
Yeah, you know, Mello's doing better, obviously. Again, game status, I don't know if it's, you know, if you ask me today, anybody like that was out, they're probably still out, and hopefully we can progress. But he's doing a lot better than even anticipated off towards even before we left the stadium.
Last week you had the message to the guys of wanting to string together 2 good performances in a row, and it seems like that resonated pretty well. What's your message heading into a game like this where
About 3 in a row. Again, it's yeah, to continue to play well and keep the pedal down, and we, you know, we talk about it often. Whichever side we end up on after Saturdays is the margin of error is small. Okay, the margin of difference between winning and losing in this conference is getting closer every week, as you can see. And you can't get into comparative scores. You can't depend on what's there. You don't know, and you've got to prepare that way. So, you know, we talk about we're in the 4th quarter of the season, so to speak, in the last 3 games, and how do we want this to finish? And we talked about it our first year, and we'll talk about it now. Is let's go back to 21. The last 3 games of the 21 season, I feel put this program on a better track. Okay. What's the last 3 games of this season going to do for this program? Because we can continue on this path of making steady progress, or it'll be one that'll be disappointing. Last year, we didn't finish as strong as we wanted to, okay? So we've gotta find a way to do that. We're looking at different ways at this time of the season to keep them fresh, get them their rest, do the things that we can, but we still have work to be done. But I think we're getting them to understand all those little things, and really, it's simply, let's put 3 together, and then let's also make sure that we're talking about some really exciting things about how this team finished up.
This ties into that a little bit. Your first meeting with your team here, out on that field, when you said, you know, we will win, it's been pretty popular, it keeps getting played as you guys keep progressing and making a name for yourselves. I wonder what did you mean when you said that? Did you have a feel for what that meant when you were telling those guys that?
Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's a, like you say, every week we come into this meeting or this conference and we talk about something I probably didn't know before, and maybe a little bit more of the history and the struggles that maybe we've been through. But I wanted them to know that there would be some things that happened, and I was confident that we'd find ways to win games. When and how soon, I did not say that. And again, I believe in what we do and how we go about it, and just like these, there probably sometimes gets very redundant and boring, but at the same time, those are things that I think when you do on a daily basis and you ask your players to do it, they become great habits, and there's things that'll help us get to where we want to be, and I think it has so far. So, you know, I think I counted, and that's not even that group that was there. I think we have 46 players in this program that were committed or given opportunities here before we arrived, and 3 years in. I think for college football standards, that's pretty decent. And what it was going to be our approach. You're going to have a chance to prove yourself here. You're going to see if it fits. You know, you fit us, we fit you, whatever that may be. But this is the way we're going to go about it. We kept the signees of that class, and we've been able to mold the program and within the philosophies in which we want to do. So I don't know everything I said, and you know, because that's tough. You go back to those days, let's face it, they got a coaching staff that just finished practice with them. They're coming off, they have no idea what's going on. And you know, you're trying to give them some you know, settle that there's gonna be some brighter days ahead. But you know.
Did you get any indication from anybody shortly thereafter or even that day that, hey, that was pretty profound, those words? I mean,
No, I forgot. Mello Dotson said something to me one time about he knew it was going to be different and it was going to be serious. I forgot. You'd have to ask Mello.
Sure,
I don't want to quote him. But.
and then just real quick too, what's the mentality? You talked about the last quarter of the season and all that stuff, but you guys are a game out of first in the Big 12. Is there a different mentality that comes with that position, and how do you address that?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to look at that, Matt. I said I kind of glanced at it, and we talked about it, that we talked about playing those type of games, and here we are, and Friday night at the hotel, you start, you keep playing well, winning games, you're talking about playing for a championship. And I was kind of like joke with, I go, can you believe 2 years ago that we'd even be saying that? But that's how this group has worked and developed, and the great job the assistant coaches have done. Then you look at those standings, and our 2 losses are the 2 teams above us. So it's not like now we got to make sure we maintain and play well. So I think they understand. That's a nice thing. We've had enough players now that play a lot of football here. They're grasping. It's not like it's a totally young team, and we have enough experience in so many different ways, and that's kind of been neat. And again, for our staff, that's what's fun about building and maintaining programs, is when you watch it happen and you see them kind of leading the way through.
They have a young quarterback that kind of took over after 4 weeks with the start program. You've heard. What did you kind of see from him on film, and is there any parallels with Jason's kind of play?
Yeah, yeah, he's one of the higher rated quarterbacks, I think, in their class, or what they've been able to bring in there at Texas Tech, and they have quite a history of having some talented guys, I think, what you say, so, you know, again, somebody that can run their offense and make things happen. You know, I don't get into comparisons yet about, you know, with Jason or anything. Like I said, I'm just getting to watch the, you know, I watch the game some on Thursday night. I watched the game this morning. I went back and was watching the Wyoming game when they started, lost in double overtime, and so kind of mixing and going through both sides. So it's kind of a lot there. But I know this, they're very multiple in what they do. They can play fast. At one time, I think they're playing, you know, they're gonna snap the ball and, you know, within 20 seconds, probably 99% of the time. So we better get lined up. This is similar stuff we talked about against Oklahoma. You gotta get lined up, gotta get the call, get your feet in the ground, and engage, gotta communicate well. And of course, then you gotta get around the football and tackle the ball.
Anything else, Coach?